Okay, today we are talking about squares, cubes, and roots. Okay, so our learning objective is going to be to define and to identify perfect squares and perfect cube, and calculate a square and a cube of a number, then understand the square and the cube patterns. Okay, then the next one is to define and to find square and cube roots. Then the next one is to use prime factorization to find its roots. Okay. Then the other thing is to estimate non-perfect squares and cubes. Okay. So these are our objectives. The first thing is we're going to talk about perfect squares and perfect cube. Then next we are going to talk about square roots and cube roots. Then next we are going to be learning how to find it using prime factorization. Let's talk about this concept. Okay, so let's start with a square of a number. Okay, a square of a number is a result of multiplying a number by itself. Okay, so a result. Okay, so this is a result of multiplying a number by itself. Okay, so let's say we have a number. Let's say we have our number. Let's say assume this term is a. If you multiply it by another a, it becomes a squared. Okay, so this is a square of a. Okay, so if you want to find a square of any number, just multiply it by itself. Let's say you have a real number. Let's say you have a 7. If you multiply it by another 7, okay, this means that you get 49. 49 is the square of 7. Okay, so you can write it as 7 squared. Okay, this means 7 times 7. Okay, so this is the concept of a square of a number. Okay, let's go to see perfect squares. Okay, so perfect squares are the numbers we get after we we square natural numbers. Okay, so we have our natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if we square these numbers, we get perfect squares. Okay, we go and they go on. Okay, so our perfect square starts. Let's square 1, we get 1. Let's square 2, we get 4. 3, we get 9. 4, we get 16. 5, we get 25. Okay, so these are perfect squares. Okay, so they go on and on and on as we square these numbers. If we square 6, we get another number, and on and on. Okay, so these are perfect squares. Okay, let's say the cube of a number. Okay, so a cube of a number is a result of multiplying. Okay, a result of multiplying a number by itself thrice. Okay, so if we multiply a number, let's say in this example, let me use a again. If we say a times a times a 3 times like this, okay, that result we get, that is a cube of a. Okay, so this is a cube of a. This is how we write it. Okay, so let's give an example of a real number, which is a natural number, which is 2. Let's say 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, in this case, we get 8. Okay, so this means that the cube of 2 is 8. Okay? So the perfect cubes is the same as the perfect cube are the results of cubing the natural numbers. Okay, so we have our natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on. Okay, so if we cube these numbers, we multiply by itself 3 times, we get perfect cubes. Okay, so perfect cubes in this case they are 1, 8, 27, 64, and they on and on. Okay, so this is the concept of square number, cube of a number, perfect square, and perfect cube. Here we have some tips about square numbers and cube numbers. Okay, so the square numbers only end with 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, or 9. Okay, so any number that doesn't end with these numbers is not a square number. Okay, okay, so that doesn't mean every number that ends with this number is a square number. Okay, but if it doesn't end with this number, it's not. Okay, so for example, if we take a 16, it ends with 6. 9, obviously, it ends with 9. And 25, it ends with 5. 36, okay. 49, 64. Okay, so it's all square numbers end with the number with these numbers. Okay, so if you see a number which doesn't end with this number, it doesn't mean that it's not a square number. Okay, then a cube of an even number should give us a even number. okay, and a cube of an odd number should give us an odd number, okay. These are the tips we have to follow for this number, okay. So if you cube, let's say if you cube 3, this one is an odd number, okay. So make sure your answer should be an odd number like this, right? Then if you get a number, let's say you have 1493, okay, this last number is not on these numbers. That is sure that this one is not a perfect number, okay. So you have to make sure that, okay, these are the only tips. But if you get a number with which end with the, let's say you have 1414, okay, you can say that this is a square number, okay. You have to prove it. But if it ends with this, if it doesn't end with 4 or any number on this number, it's not. But here we have to prove. Now let's talk about a square root and a cube root. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, so a square root. Let's start with the square root. Okay, a square root. Let's say if you want to say a square root of a number, you just write it like this. Okay, a square root. Let's say of 9. Okay. So here we are finding out which number did we multiply by itself to get this result. Okay, which number did we multiply by itself to get this number? Okay, so in this case, we multiplied 3 times 3 to get 9. Okay, so the square root of 9 becomes 3. Okay, so which number did we multiply by itself to get this number? Okay, so this is a number. Okay, so if you are said to be finding a square root of a number, it means that which number do you multiply by itself to get this number? Okay, you are finding a square root of 9. Which number do you multiply by itself to get 9? This is 3. Okay, so this is the square root. Okay, so I think we should know all the square roots of all perfect squares from 1 up to 100. Okay, you should know all the square roots of these perfect squares. Okay, so you should practice. Okay, here we have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. Okay, and on 81, then 100. Okay, so you should know the square root of all these numbers. Okay, so this is the square. Okay, then let's talk about a cube root. Okay, the definition is the same. Which number did we multiply by itself 3 times to get this number? Okay, let's say in this case it's 8. Okay, this is a perfect cube. Okay, so which number did we multiply by itself 3 times to get 8? In this case, we've multiplied 2 to get 8. If you multiply 2 times 2 times 2 3 times, we get 8. Okay, so this is the cube root of 8. Okay, so in simple terms, we are saying a cube root of a number is a number which we multiply by itself 3 times to get that number. Now let's talk about finding a square root of a number using prime factorization method. Okay, so let's say you are given a number. Let's say in this case you are given 64. You want to find the square root of that number. Okay, so the first thing you can do is to prime factorize this number. Okay, okay, this works on all numbers. If you try on bigger numbers, it will. Okay, so let's say you have 64. Okay, so the first thing is you want to prime factorize this number. Okay, so let's write 64 here. We talked about prime factorization. So this one is a 64 is 32 times 2, right? So we put 2 here, then we put 32 here. Okay, so this is a prime number. Okay, so it's enough. Then 32 is a 16 times 2, right? So it's 2, 16. Okay, then here we are going, it's 4 times 4. Okay, here is 2, here is 2, here is 2, here is 2. Okay, so now you can see that we have found our numbers. How many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 2's. Okay, so this means that 64 is equals to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 6 times, right? Okay, so now we have to find the square root of 64. Okay, so now the first thing is, if this is a square root, okay, it's a square root, it's only 2. We have to group these numbers in 2's. Okay, so we just put it in index form, but the power should be 2. Okay, so here it's 2 times 2, so it's 2 squared, right? Times here 2 times 2, 2 squared times 2 squared. Okay, we have to make sure this is this power is 2. Okay, so now we just have to, if we put the square root now, square root of 64, okay, it's 2 squared times 2 squared times 2 squared, right? So now when this root is there and we are multiplying here, right? This root is there, we are multiplying here, we can simply say 2 squared is 2 times 2 squared is 2. 2 squared times 2. Okay, so this becomes, our answer becomes 8. So this is how we do it. We first prime factorize and we get there. After here, we just have to group the equal numbers 2 and 2 here. Only 2, 2 squared, squared, squared. Okay. So after that, we have to put it under root. And when we are multiplying here and there is a root, if you square a number in a root, it becomes that number. So it's 2 squared, it becomes 2, 2 squared, it becomes 2, 2 squared, it becomes 2. So our answer becomes 2. Okay. So this is how we do it. Okay. So now we can try your example. Let's say an example, let's say we have 81. Okay. Try to get 9 from this. So let's go on the estimation of a non-perfect root. Okay. So estimation of a non-perfect root. I'd like you to know that the answer you are going to get is not true. It's just an approximate. Okay. So let's say you are given a number which is let's say it's root to 40. Okay, you want to find root 40. Okay, the first thing is you're going to find out which number is nearer to 40, which is a perfect square. I said you should memorize all perfect squares from 1 to 100, right? So this means that you have to know. Here we have a perfect square, which is 36. Okay, so this means that root 36 is nearer to 40, to root 40. Okay, so this means that our answer, root 36 is equals to 6, right? Okay, so now we just have to find another number. Okay, so this means that our answer, since 40 is greater than 60, our answer is going to be between 6 and 7. Okay, so we can write any number between 6 and 7. That's our approximate. Okay, the other way of approximating this is you can write this, let's say root 40. You can find two, you can find one perfect square. We can multiply to get 40. Okay, here we have 4. Okay, so we say 4 times 10. Okay, so here is 4 times 10, right? Okay, so now we know the root of 40 over 4. We can simply split it like this. It becomes root 4 times root 10. Okay, after that, we have to say root of 4. We talked about this. It's 2 and root 10. Okay, so this will be approximate. Okay, this number should give you a number between 6 and 7.
Okay, that's it. Now we have to practice and stay in touch.